Dim Lights and Stiff Drinks, the dive bars of Seattle, is proud to be sponsored by the Stedman Group.
The Stedman Group is a local independent business that owns and operates Targey's Tavern, profiled here in Season 1, Episode 9, The Pogie, Season 2, Episode 12, the Duval Tavern in Duval, and Larry's Tavern in West Seattle.
All of us here at the podcast are pretty tough critics when it comes to how the local dive bars are being run, and we have always been extremely impressed with all the dive bars owned by the Stedmans. This is because all drinking establishments, especially those that have been around for a while, each have their own unique character and charm, and it's obvious when you walk into a Stedman's bar that you are devoted to maintaining that tradition. And for that, we raise our glasses and cheers.
The Stedman Group, committed to preserving the legacy of dive bars throughout the Puget Sound region.
Hello and welcome to the big show. This is Dim Lights and Stiff Drinks, the dive bars of Seattle. We're setting out to document those bars that have a seedy backstory and interesting history behind them. But we're not just talking about these places in the quiet confines of some home studio somewhere. No. We are actually visiting these places and recording each episode live on location. In this podcast, we visit the places where bad decisions and future regrets are made, so you don't have to. Joining us as always is the man who makes our show tick-tock and rock around the clock, and that would of course be our producer, Bob Trombley. How you doing, Bob?
I'm great, Brad. Thank you. Hey now. I do like that.
Are we on TikTok? I don't think any of us have a TikTok account.
No. More in reference to the more in reference to the song.
Thing.
Happy Days.
Well, my name is Brad, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Lou and Jeremy. How are you guys doing?
All right, Brad. I'm going with MC Little One Eye.
Okay.
MC Little One Eye. Yeah, and I'm two people tonight. I used Brad's name earlier to get in on a guest list for the Almost Live exhibit launch party at Mohi. Yep. Yeah.
Stash Panda 2.
Yeah, rub it in. None of us can be +2 or +3.
Yeah, I actually didn't end up going. He went, but he can tell you about it later in the episode.
Whoa. There was a wasted ticket? MFers.
No, you didn't miss anything. No one showed up. The real launch party is in like a couple weeks. That's where they have the screening and the panel interview.
And Bill Nye.
This was a soft launch?
A soft launch, yeah.
I heard there was
Meaning 0 cast members were there.
You heard wrong then, my friend.
Nope.
You heard wrong.
No open bar, no cast members. They did have a theater playing clips, and I was surprised how well they hold up. I was sitting in there cracking up, watching like Cops in Kent and Ballard Driving School.
Well, we are here at the Cyclops Cafe in Belltown, a place that has always been known as being a hangout for local artists. And we have a very special guest here with us who certainly fits that bill. Now, I'm sure most of our listeners out there are aware of that house that sits off of I-5. If you're heading on I-5 North, it's kind of in the Ravenna neighborhood off of 65th. It's otherwise known as the Betty Page and Divine House because it has Betty Page and Divine painted on the side of it. And joining us tonight is the person responsible for that iconic work. And I'm, of course, talking about the artist known as Two Thangs. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so Matt, otherwise known as Two Thangs, just released a book. It's due to be published next week, and he's here to kind of promote the book. He's got some big events coming up in connection with this book release.
A couple days from now.
a book release party. The book hasn't been released yet, so kind of like
The pre-release.
a Mohi party.
It's a soft launch, Jeremy. It's a soft launch.
Except I made it.
Yeah,
so.
except he made it. That's right. That's right.
The talent did make it to this one.
But I also like to add that extreme dive bar enthusiasts. So, yeah.
Professional.
Well, so we're going to get into your book. We're going to get into your whole story, what kind of art you create, because you create some really awesome stuff. But first, as always, we're going to dive into the history of the Cyclops. So the Cyclops Cafe first opened a few blocks from here. It was in a different location in 1990. when it grew out of a coffee shop on Western Ave known as the Free Mars. The Free Mars first opened in 1985 and was housed in an old building that was used as an artist colony of sorts for a collective known as the Subterranean Cooperative of Urban Dreams, or SCUD, as the acronym.
Love that.
So SCUD was a home and studio space to dozens of artists, including legendary music producer Steve Fisk, who recently passed away. He, of course, produced,
Sub Pop?
a bunch of Nirvana albums and a lot of good stuff. The photographer Alice Wheeler, and the designer Art Chantry, among many, many others. Robert Crumb, the famous comic artist, once visited the building and called it a magical place like a treehouse of artists. As a result, the Cyclops, which was, of course, part of the SCUD building, was a major hangout for musicians, bohemians, poets, actors, and artists of all varieties. So it was a major art hangout in the 90s and then on through the rest of the 90s. Now, were you guys familiar with the SCUD group? Because I was here back in the 80s. I was in this area and I was aware of it, but you guys hadn't quite arrived here. You guys familiar
No,
with
this is actually the first time I've ever been in this bar. It's all new to me.
Okay, so you didn't go to the
You're a virgin,
original
Ludog?
Cyclops?
I am a virgin tonight.
Not anymore.
I have some kind of passing familiarity with the Scud group because I believe, and you can fact check me on this, but I believe the Scud group was involved in the original Artifact scene, which was a multi-genre art show that was sort of going around in the 90s for a while. Kind of these underground
That might have been them. That very well might have been
very
them.
much involved in
What about you, Matt? Were you familiar with the SCUD group?
Not the Scud group,
Okay.
but I've frequented the Cyclops at different points.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you crossed paths with some of the people involved in it at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe, I got here in 2005, and I feel like a lot of the arts groups that, especially if they started in the 80s, they were
already gone
punching
and stuff.
much higher or just dissolved into
Yeah.
There might be a Scud group alumni in the Cyclops alumni.
Or it could be. You never know. Well, I have kind of a cool SCUD-related story. So, are you guys familiar with Stephen Jesse Bernstein?
No.
Yes.
You know who he is.
Yeah. Jesse Bernstein.
Jesse Bernstein. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like this real colorful character back in the 80s, especially early 90s. He was an underground writer and performance artist from Seattle. He was probably Seattle's closest version of like a
William S. Burroughs,
or
yeah.
a Charles Bukowski or
There
someone
you
of
go.
that ilk, right? He did a lot of spoken word, and he was part of the SCUD community.
Had a very distinctive voice,
Very
too.
kind of gravelly
Yeah.
voice. He
Jesse
had a very
Bernstein.
well-known. He did a lot of spoken word performances. He was on the soundtrack to Natural Born Killers, the movie. They included a clip of one of his spoken word performances. He opened for a bunch of groups back in the 80s, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Big Black. I'm pretty sure I saw him at an early punk show. Yeah, it might even have been like a mentor show. But anyway, he also had like serious drug abuse issues, mental health issues.
Like any good artist.
Like any good artist. And eventually he committed suicide in this really kind of gnarly way. I think he repeatedly stabbed himself in the neck.
Elliott Smith went the same way.
Yeah. Very similar. Anyway,
Which one was the copycat?
it's hard to say. Anyways, I know a female artist who also lived there in SCUD. She's still producing art, and her work is pretty well known, but she's really private and reclusive, so I don't want to say her name. But she was part of the SCUD group in the 80s and was close friends with Jesse Bernstein. After he passed away, she inherited a couple boxes of his stuff that she kept with her. And I got to know her pretty good. She knew I collected old Seattle memorabilia, and she just gave me these 2 boxes of his stuff. She shipped them to me, said, they're yours, you can do what you want with them.
What was in there?
They're now yours. It was all kinds of really cool stuff.
Heroin needles, straight jacket.
Well, not too far from that, but mostly it was like,
Bukowski.
mostly it was manuscripts, handwritten poetry, like books of his, CDs, but also some like kind of gruesome stuff. You weren't too far off, Jeremy. Like, he had a couple previous suicide attempts, and one of the things in there was he'd slit his wrist, and the bandage that they used to bandage his wrist up, as well as the stitches, was in there. And there was some stuff like that. So she gave me these boxes. I was like really appreciative.
Did you hang on to that?